All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to remove the CV axles on a Gen 2 or Gen 2.5 Montero. That's 1992 to 2000. Now, if you're replacing your CV axles because there's like a torn boot, if you have the original factory boots, I would encourage you to refresh those. Keep them, just get new boot kits that come with new boots and grease and clamps, and refresh the torn boots because the factory CV axles are much stronger than anything in the aftermarket. Now, the way that you can tell if you still have your factory CV axle is going to be real easy if it's got these green cups on it. Also, if you come in here, if you clean it off, you'll see NTN. And then right here where it says 100, that is basically the diameter of the cup. And the 100 millimeter CVs like this one are the strongest ones, and they're pretty coveted in the Gen 2 community. So it's either going to say 95 or 100. Both of them are very strong. The hundreds are just a little stronger. And even if you don't feel like doing the work to reboot this with new grease and you just want to go to the parts store and just buy some aftermarket CV axle and slap it in there, that's totally fine. But I would still recommend that you at least hold on to the original ones, because again, they're getting pretty rare, especially these 100 millimeter ones, and guys who are into four-wheel driving want them for their added strength, and they will happily buy them off of you. You're going to take off your wheel with the vehicle supported on jack stands, of course, and then we're going to start off with this center cap, and we need to take that off, and I'm going to use a punch to get behind this lip. Just like that. If you have, this cap is fine. If your cap is all messed up, rusty, we have new ones at lusaoverland.com. Okay, next there's a circlip in here at the end of the axle. You can try some snap ring pliers. Snap ring pliers are one of these things where you have to buy quality ones or else they don't work. Like these Harbor Freight ones, I don't think they're gonna work. So yeah, they don't have a big enough range. Let's try right here. It kind of worked. They allow me to get a pick. I was just gonna say you can just use a pick. Yeah, so just a couple picks made it actually easier to get that circlip out. Next, I'm going to take off the brake caliper, so let me bring you around. So there's two bolts holding the caliper in. They're 17 millimeter. I'm just breaking it free with a box wrench. There we go, that one's free. That's better. Okay, breaking that one free from the bottom. So pull out your two caliper pins. As you can see, they are different from each other. Looks like they're a little different, so pay attention to where they came out of. Then we can work our caliper off. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it dangling on this rubber hose, but normally you don't want to do that because you can damage this. So just, you know, tie it up around the upper control arm or around the frame or off of a hole in the fender liner. Don't leave it hanging like that. Next, I'm going to do the tie rod. There's a cotter pin going through the castle nut. So the first thing we need to do is straighten that out and pull it through. There we go. Okay, now we need to take off this nut. It's a 19 millimeter. Easy peasy. Then I'm going to put the nut back on. If I was reusing this tie rod, this is what I would do. It doesn't really matter in this case since I'm not reusing it, but I'm going to put the castle nut back on upside down like this, so it's covering the top of the stud in the tie rod, and then we're going to hit it right here on this boss on the side of the knuckle. We're going to hit right there with a sledge. There it goes. So you can see we put the castle nut upside down in case we miss and we like hit that stud. We're not messing up the threads and we're not messing up the little towers on the castle nut. Since it's facing down, it's more unlikely to damage those. So we can take this off. And now our tie rod is free. In addition to that circlip, there's also this little washer. All right, now we're going to pull this hub. It's just 6 14mm bolts. All right, now we got to pull the nut off of the upper ball joint and the lower ball joint. So same procedure, straightening out the cotter pin, pulling it out, and then breaking the nut free. Okay, so at the top we have a 23mm, which I don't have a good socket for that, so I'm using a 7/8. And then on the bottom it's a 24mm, so I'm just going to try breaking these with the breaker bar. There we go. There's that one. There we go. Easy enough. So same thing as we did with the tie rods. I'm going to put the castle nut back on upside down and smack the boss on the knuckle with the mini sledge until the ball joint pops. Okay, upper popped. You really got to have some good hits here to make them, to free them. You can see also I've got a lot of tension on this ABS cable. You don't want that. Like I said, I don't care about this stuff, but you're going to want to put either something under here to hold this up or disconnect the ABS line to give it some more slack. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this speed sensor out of here. There we go. Holy moly. That thing was in there, but now we got the whole knuckle and hub out. Okay. So as you can see, the CV is almost ready to come out. It's bolted to the stub axle, to the flange, with 4 bolts. They look like 14, so I just got to get in there. Come straight in with an extension, get on these 14mm bolts. Nope. Let's try breaking them free first. Hard part is the CV wants to spin. Fia la puta. Okay, so there's 4 bolts holding the inner flange of the CV in, and I should have broken them free before moving the knuckle because now they just want to spin, but that's okay. I think with the impact we can get them. Or not. There it goes. So it looks like I'm going to have to heat these up. Here we go. Yeah. Now some diff oil is going to come out of here, so I'm going to get a pan. There we go. So there you go. Passenger side is out. This is definitely the harder side because of those 4 inner bolts that are just kind of a pain to get to. Okay, moving on to the driver's side, just taking off the wheel here, and everything's going to be the same as on the passenger side until the last step because there's no nuts holding this axle to the differential like stub flange. So first thing, take off your grease cap with a punch, and then you can remove your hub, just those 6 14mm bolts. Moving on to the brake caliper here, just the upper pin and the lower pin. And again, be sure to support that brake caliper, hang it up so it's not just hanging on the brake hose. Moving on to the cotter pins on the upper and lower ball joint, removing those. And then I go ahead and I start removing the nut on both of those as well and smacking them free, and then see if you can spot what I did wrong. Jesus. Okay. And so the reason that that thing jumped out is because I wasn't supporting the lower control arm with a jack. Like I had mentioned, definitely put a jack under there, just kind of hold the lower control arm up. That way when you disconnect the upper ball joint, the whole knuckle assembly won't just fall out like that. And I think it makes getting the lower ball joint to break free easier. But let's see if we can get that ABS line out of there. The lower ball joint's the hardest one to come off, but basically then you just undo the lower ball joint nut and then you'll pull the whole knuckle and rotor, all that stuff off of the end of the CV. It's pretty heavy, so just watch your feet. And now we're at this point where there's nothing holding the CV in except for the circlip on the inner side of the CV. So let's pull it out. There's also this like little washer thing you got to pay attention. You know, I want to save that. But anyways, all you're gonna do is push in on the CV and then pull out firmly, like that. There we go. Only thing that was holding it in is a little circlip right here. Okay guys, so just a reminder, if your boots are torn, you want to get replacement boot kits, just go to looseoverland.com, go to Gen 2, then go to steering. You can see we have replacement tie rods and pitman arms and idler arms, and right here you will see your CV boot kits. As you can see, there's a couple different ones. There's 2 inners, 2 outers, just because it depends if you have the 95 or 100 millimeter CV axles. Also, I'll go ahead and throw up the torque specs right now for you.